This episode of the Talkcast Podshow is brought to you by Boxu. That's right, our favorite partitioners of Japanese snacks delivered to you straight from the land of the rising sun. Put the code TeamFourStar10 at checkout for 10% off your order of delicious snacks. This month, I'm very excited. It's my birthday month. Let's see what they got going. We got the Otsukimi Moon Festival. Woo, this is glary. There we go.
Fun thing about the Otsukimi Moon Festival, it's actually based around the rabbit in the moon.
Yeah?
Yeah.
With all the mochi, you expect
Making
some
the
mochi in this year?
Maybe. There might be mochi.
Hokkaido Red Bean Donuts.
Oh, hell yes. These.
Hokkaido Red Bean Donuts.
So I'm a huge fan of everything that is.
Ooh, they smell toasty. Beanie. It's way denser than I expected. Like, it's very much in a dense American donut hole.
A little dry. The cake's a little dry, but the red bean in the middle is exactly what I'm looking for. Also, I will be enjoying all of this with organic Hojicha tea that came with this.
Yeah, you made mention before that like a lot of these snacks are meant to be served alongside a beverage like tea company.
Ogashi, or snacks in Japan, are meant usually to be served to guests along with tea.
Look at our next okashi then. We got M. Baker's Cookie, custard flavor. Custard cookie. Oh wow, that is very custardy.
Yeah, that is that custard flavor is strong. The cookie itself is soft, but not like chewy.
And crumbly, kind of like what would you call it? Like a butter cookie?
Like it's butter, it's custard. It's actually really tasty. That is one of the tastiest cookies I've had in a while.
Yeah, those are dangerous. I can see why they package them individually. Up next, we have lotus root and Kokoto black sugar Baumkuchen.
Boom. It's cakey.
It's cake by the foot.
Yep.
You can definitely taste that molassesy, smoky flavor of the black sugar.
Yeah, that black sugar is front and center. With a decently moist cake, I accidentally peeled part of it away.
It's like string cheese. Sometimes you feel like being a monster and just taking a bite out of the log, but then you want to peel it and then see how many more strands you can peel from the peel.
I was one of those kids. I was one of those monsters who would just eat. Like I'd string. Why do I want it in strings? I want a mouthful of cheese.
I was a kid that I when I was watching like Looney Tunes, I tried to emulate Bugs Bunny eating the carrot, just.
Yeah, cartoons gave us the wrong way to eat everything.
Next up, I know I'm gonna like this, Zarame Mochi Rice Crackers. These rice crackers are made with mochigome, also known as mochi rice, which gives them their delicate and airy texture when baked. They're then coated with a flavorful glaze of soy sauce and brown sugar. A little mix of sweet and savory. That sounds like a recipe for awesomeness. Accurate. Like there's just like that little kick of soy. The best thing I can compare this to, rice cake kettle corn.
I would say that's accurate. These are the essential snacks that they serve, by the way. These types of crackers, you'll find them at any Asian food store.
I could snack on those all damn day, but we have more delicious snacks to get to, such as, running with that mochi theme, Funwari Meijin Mochi Puffs Black Syrup Kinako, made with 100% mochigome rice that is pounded and transformed using a unique patented process into lighter-than-air confections.
Yeah, that's exactly like all the other mochi puffs we have before, just with a different flavor.
They dissolve in your mouth. They're lovely.
Yeah.
Up next, chocolate Azuki Beans Black Sesame Kinako. The first thing that this reminds me of is like yogurt dipped raisins.
I actually like the pairing of chocolate and Azuki more because I actually am one of those weird people who don't love the mixture of matcha and Azuki. I mean, I'll eat it and it'll be good, but I actually prefer something like chocolate with Azuki to kind of help sweeten the Azuki a little more.
If you put this in like a Raisinets box, I would buy this at a movie theater every goddamn time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like these are, holy crap.
100%.
Mitarashi Mochi Monaka. Looks like a macaron.
Yeah, at first glance, it kind of looks like, it kind of looks like a macaron, only without the middle.
This snack blends two traditional Japanese snacks, monaka, a mochi wafer filled with flavored white bean jam, and Mitarashi Dango, a Kyoto specialty of skewered dango rice cakes grilled with a sweet soy sauce glaze. That is intriguing. Holy crap. That is a mouthfeel adventure.
Oh my god.
Oh, and then the flavor hits you.
This is my favorite type of mochi. It is soft. It isn't very chewy.
This is like one of the reasons that I love Baksu, is they like expose you to snacks that you wouldn't even ever consider.
No, these flavors, this texture, this isn't something you'd ever get in an American snack. It is amazing. It is insane.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
I'm a failure at life.
Yeah, I mean, we've established that.
Nama chocolate sable cookie.
Although, you want to just split one?
I'll split a cookie with you.
Split the cookie.
Split the cookie. Soft cookie, layer of chocolate hidden inside. Can we find it? Let's see.
Oh yeah, I can see it. I can see the chocolate.
Cookie. I'll say the chocolate isn't very well hidden. It's there. It's pronounced. Solid cookie.
Yeah.
Not much to add to that one. After all that sweet, I'm craving the savory, and they pack it in here. Pizza potato chips.
So pizza potato chips are not something that we're unfamiliar with in the States. I'm very curious to see.
Pringles has been running this game for a long time.
Yeah, they're potato crisps. This is more of the traditional Ruffles.
Holy crap, that's real cheese. Wow, these are some of the best pizza potato chips I've had. Like, definitely kicks the shit out of the potato crisps. These are strong, solid potato chips. That's what I love about potato chips. They're such an amazing vehicle for flavors. Cheese, arare, salted truffle flavor. Holy crap.
I'm very curious about this. I like everything in that sense. Oh my god. Look at this. Look at this little cheese cannoli.
Little ravioli, like rice cracker, I'm assuming. Okay, I just had a fucking Food Wars moment. Like, I'm still dressed, but everything in my world became cheese for a second.
Yeah, no, it's filled with cheese. Like, that rice cracker is just stuffed with that truffly cheese.
And you get that like hit at the end of black pepper. Oh, that is delightful. Holy crap, that might be my favorite thing in this box.
So, you want to know something cool?
I do.
I actually bought an entire bag of those, and they arrived at my place last week, and I haven't dug into them yet.
What time are you usually not home? Next up, we got Rabbit Festival Golden Sweet Potato Cake. Oh, look at that little bunny, hippity hoppity.
It's a meaty little cake there. It's tiny, but I can feel the weight of this thing. So I love sweet potato, by the way. Sweet potato is one of my favorites.
Oh yeah. Oh, and that's got a lot of sweet potato flavor in it. Like, this is alcohol in it. I can taste it. It's like rummish.
Oh my fucking god. It's so moist. It is so moist and heavy and delicious. My god.
Kameda Curry Senbei Mini Rice Crackers.
So I have to say the Japanese curry is actually maybe my third favorite type of curry. I still like it, but it's definitely below Indian and Thai for me.
Oh wow, I like that.
Yeah, the curry flavor is hard and fast and crunchy.
Like it's just delicately sprinkled with curry powder. A delicious rice cracker, packed with curry flavor. Can't go wrong. Thank you again to Baksu for these delicious snacks. Get some of yours today. TeamFourStar 10 at checkout for 10% off your order. And now on to the Talkcast Podshow. Hello and welcome to the Talkcast Podshow, the #1 show on the internet, and the ones who watch those who watch The Watchmen. I'm your mild-mannered host, Lanny, and I'm joined this week by the terror that squats in the night, Antfish.
Hey.
How you doing, dude?
I'm doing good.
Hell yeah. And we are also joined by a man who, after a horrible lab accident, was turned into the terrifying Man-Cat, Kaiser Neko.
Oh, I was hoping to go with more of a Spider-Man bitten by a radioactive tiger, but you know what? I'll take it. I'll be Man-Cat.
You get the Man-Bat route. I love Man-Bat. Like, he's such an absurd character.
I love the episode. I love that one episode of Batman that starred him. It was really well animated.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was seeing a couple Twitter accounts being like, "Oh my god, the animation for this is amazing. It's by this dude in Japan."
Yeah,
Like,
TMS worked on it. It was real good.
Legit, anytime Man-Bat shows up in something, I mark out just a bit. Like, I'm not a huge fan, but it's like, Man-Bat, hell yeah.
Well, it's the whole idea of like the monster as like a superhero, right? Because if there's one thing we know about superheroes, there's no way they can be monsters, right?
Well,
Yeah,
Man-Bat, I believe,
impossible.
was
No-
actually a villain.
Well, he's a unfortunate villain. Like he was a scientist looking for a way to cure cancer, I believe.
That's always how it starts.
Yeah, and then he ended up experimenting with bat genes, and it went horribly awry. But that's neither here nor there. Gentlemen, before we get into today's discussion proper, I want to induce a new segment into the Talkcast Podshow, something that I meant to introduce long ago, but now that we have a few things that legitimately I need to talk about, it's time for a TFS update. See, because this Friday, we're going to be having a special stream starting at 4:30 Central Time to premiere a new parody that Stefan has been working his ass off animating, and Kieran and Grant have just whole hog busted out. I think it's amazing. Those of you on our Patreon have probably gotten a preview of it, I believe, by now.
Actually, I don't know.
I think so. I think there was talk about that. But if you haven't, my God, are you in for a treat? Because this Friday at 5 o'clock Central Time, we will be premiering something fun for you all. And Grant and I will be hanging out and just chatting with everybody after the fact, maybe playing some Risk of Rain. So pop in for that. Twitch.tv/StreamFourStar, 5 o'clock Central Time on Friday, September 11th. Don't forget. We also got a new Dragon short in production. I can't forget it. It's my mom's birthday.
Yes, we have a Dragon short that is currently in production.
Yes, new Dragon short currently in production, and we might have it slated to release next weekend. If all things go according to plan. I got the preview of it. It's looking amazing. Berenga is fucking knocking it out of the park with these. So get ready for that next weekend. And one quick bit of notes about the Talkcast Pod Show itself. In order to maximize our workflow and just make everything a bit more efficient for everybody involved, this project has always been my baby, but I always managed to drag somebody along with me in order to talk about these things, Kaiser. And oftentimes their time is better spent working on a few other things that might be a bit more entertaining to the general public at large. So the Talkcast Pod Show will be moving to a bi-weekly schedule. This will be the last weekly Talkcast Pod Show for the foreseen future. The next show for the live audience here on twitch.tv/StreamFourStar will be on September 23rd. So please tune in for that.
I hate that bi-weekly can mean twice a week or once every 2 weeks. It's once every 2 weeks, by the way, just to make sure.
Yeah, once every 2 weeks, alternating Wednesdays. So please pop in for that. And don't worry, we'll think of something to do in the interim. I've still got my Wednesdays open, so we'll see what we got going on. But gentlemen, I wanted to bring us together, form a team up in order to discuss, first of all, The Boys, since season 2 just started out. Like, just the first 3 episodes dropped on Friday. I really loved season 1. And I've always been fascinated by the deconstructive of the superhero teams. Just seeing like the fractured heroes, the twisted, turned the dark, like the black mirror of, truth, justice, and the American way.
So just basically superhero Elseworld stories.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, what was it? One of the more recent examples I can think of is the DC animated special Gods and Monsters, and even those were still, they were still heroes.
Yeah,
in that version.
Those were focusing specifically on the darker, if not anti-heroes, then
yeah, like what if Zod was the father of Kal-El, and what if Batman was actually Man-Bat, but he turned into a vampire? Again, marked out slightly. And what if Wonder Woman was from Apocalypse? That whole spiel.
Yeah.
I think the idea of like what ifs when it comes to like superheroes and team ups, like I find that really interesting because you're already so familiar and you're so aware of these heroes already, but what if you were to put like a different spin on them, and at that point they would kind of just become their own new things, and then from there it kind of branches off into more subgenres, I guess, of thoughts and archetypes for certain superheroes, and like it teaches and tells you the idea of like nature versus nurture, of like, would they be any different if they were in this position, or if this happened to them, or like it's like a whole study and understanding of like psyche when it comes to that sort of stuff that I think is really interesting.
Absolutely. It's all about the reality that you push them into, which is where you get like the grittier reflections of the Justice League in projects like The Watchmen, or the more cynical versions like you get in The Boys.
Or hell, the how do I put this? Somewhat less campy versions that you get in Snyder films.
Yeah, I mean, like, we could talk about adaptations of heroes all day, because show of hands, who here, like, actually enjoys the Snyder, like, Warner movies? Like, no shame. Like, I personally liked his Watchmen film. I don't think it's a great adaptation, but I enjoy it for what it is. But
but don't you know, Lanny? It's a 1-for-1 adaptation. All these panels, they're the same. I'm sorry. I'm being that was very shitty to the people who say it's a good adaptation because it's so close visually, but it misses the point more often than it hits.
I think that's more in terms of like the tone that it tries to take up than anything else, though.
The fact that the Snyder Watchmen film plays almost it how do I put this? Instead of being a deconstruction of superheroes, it just becomes a darker, grittier superhero film, and that's not what Alan Moore wanted.
Yeah, but Alan Moore has a lot of his own problems, honestly.
I mean, Alan Moore is Alan Moore. That is inarguable. But ultimately, I've said my piece on how I feel about Snyder's interpretation of comic book heroes, i.e., it's garbage. But in that, I also really like 300 and fucking Gahul. So, what am I? I don't know.
Well,
I guess like his like interpretation. So I saw Batman vs Superman, and I fell asleep during the car chase scene. Which, how do you fall asleep during what is supposed to be high stakes, high energy? But everything leading up to it just was boring to me, and I don't know. And I mean, if people
my ex slept through half that movie.
Jesus. I mean, if people enjoy the movies, I'm sure they can. Then that's totally fine. They can. I don't really know
incredibly
much.
dreary.
Yeah, I think it's like the world is already dark and gritty enough, and we see the news, and it's horrible as it is. We don't need to be reminded that so this is a really good idea. When we grow up and we see this idea of superheroes, Superman, for example, this shining beacon of goodness and justice and what is right, and you see like empathy and like understanding and
the proverbial Boy Scout.
Exactly, and you see stuff like that and you feel like, oh yeah, that's really good. The world may not be all that bad after all. And then you kind of revert that in that thing exists, but it's become darker and grittier and it's become cynical. It's like the first day of a retail job where you're like, yeah, I'm so happy. And then like 30 days later, it's like, this is shit. That's literally how it feels. And I don't think people want to feel that when they go in to see a movie about superheroes, because we've been so used to this idea of like this good and this happiness that comes with it.
Well, I mean,
not that there isn't a place for it, but I do agree that I don't think that place is with Superman. It's just that Snyder was doing his damnedest to try to ape the tone that Chris Nolan so masterfully crafted with his Batman trilogy, his Dark Knight trilogy. But like he tried to do it in his own style, make it a little bit more lambasty and comic booky, and it just did not work.
That's because Superman is not supposed to... Like, you can interpret Superman in a darker manner. Other comic book artists have done it in Elseworld stories. But almost every time that Superman is interpreted in like, canon proper as being an asshole or somebody who is selfish or individualist, it blows up in their faces because that's not what Superman is. He's not an individualist. He is somebody who thinks that everyone needs to work together to make mankind better. And that's that's why he's a terrible fit for Zack Snyder, who is hardcore an individualist. He's actually like arguably a fan of Ayn Rand, and that's how he writes his characters. He approaches it from a libertarian point of view, and I'm sorry, your superheroes aren't libertarian, okay? Fucking with great power comes great responsibility is one of the most socialist things you can say. So yeah,
I mean,
anyway.
like there's a lot to be talked about in terms of like how Snyder might have adapted something, but we're not here to talk about him. We're here to talk about how the dark mirror of superherodom is done right
Well.
in terms of like I think The Boys is kind of a masterclass in deconstructing like the DC like cinematic universe, like superhero, like it's
say
a
Marvel.
It's a shot at both basically because it's obviously aping Justice League.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I
with
mean
their-
you got with
the seven.
Yeah, with the 7,
And
that's the Justice League with fucking. Go ahead.
And they have the like immediate parallel between Batman with Black Noir and Superman with Homelander. You got Maeve
Wonder
as
Woman.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
You have the team there, and it makes like you're looking at it, and to the public, they're these amazing stand-up people. And then behind closed doors, you get that cynicism of, yeah, this is just a job. We put on that fucking mask to get what we need done, to make the money, to, stay on top of the social hierarchy, because they are literal gods in this world.
I should also note, none of us have read the comic, have we?
No,
I have
haven't.
not read the comic, but I had a buddy who was really, really into it, and he would explain to me about like what the boys are and like certain scenes that happens and certain events that kind of go on, and he would show me characters, and he'd be like, "See, this guy looks exactly like Sean Penn. They're not Sean Penn. What am I saying? Simon Pegg. They're definitely gonna get Simon Pegg to pay this guy." I'm like, "That's great, man.
I'm actually really surprised they didn't get Simon Pegg to play him because I know who you're talking about.
But they got Simon Pegg to play the dad.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Yeah, but I mean, it's probably better that they didn't get. They got an actual. He's probably from Quebec. Sounds like it.
I was gonna say the comic is incredibly different from the show. Well, it shares a lot of similarities.
Like,
but
is it different in the way that the Wanted comic is different from the Wanted movie?
No. It is not that different. It is different in the manner of which it approaches its satire. It keeps a lot of the same scenes, but to give you an example of the difference.
Which, by the way, spoilers for, like, heavy spoilers for The Boys Season 1 will probably be present here. Mild spoilers for Season 2, and probably some mid-tier spoilers for Umbrella Academy Season 1 and 2. And if we mention a piece of media here, expect at least some level of spoiler just in order to have this conversation. Continue.
Yeah. So, one huge difference, and, so we're talking about something really gross here. It's The Boys, so, content warning. The scene where Starlight is propositioned for sex in the, by the Aquaman, the Deep.
Yeah.
The Deep.
Yeah, in the show. Yeah, in the comic, it's all of the men on the team.
Oh.
Yeah, including Homelander.
I remember
is worse.
I saw that panel.
Yeah, and yeah, that is one of, like, in terms of the content, it is way more over the top with how depraved it is, and it's not quite as subtle and subversive with its message of of how capitalism uses superheroes. And also, if I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not as good as the show. Like, I read through it, I'm like, all right, this is funny, but it's also like so turn of the century, edgy. Oh, look at me, I can show tits and junk and have characters blow each other up, and it's like, okay, I get it. I mean, it's not like there wasn't a market for that. I mean, Mark Millar's Wanted did sell very well, even though Mark Millar's Wanted is garbage, if you ask my fucking opinion.
It does something different.
It does something different, but it is
like
also...
It shows a world controlled by supervillains and all that would entail. And you know what? like, while narratively speaking, it's not very good, and the main hero's power is kind of bullshit. Like, in Wanted, the main hero's power, the comic anyway, is that he has the ability to kill anything.
Basically, yeah.
Like, how?
As long as he sets his mind to it, he will find a way to kill something.
Yeah.
He's like insta-kill Batman. So he has to go, like, just as an example, he has to go up against the Bizarro equivalent in that world. And for what I recall, he ends up, like, strapping him with, like, a kryptonite cock ring or something. And it just, like, fucks him up.
That's hilarious.
It is a nihilistic, and then honestly, that's my problem ultimately with a lot of interpretations of these things, is that I do not care for your nihilistic violence wet dream, okay? I do not care to read something that is just basically meant to say the world is shit, so, you know, look at this scene where the main character's killing cops. Wow, can you believe he just killed all those cops? And it's like, all right, I guess, whatever. Like,
yeah, but the show, like, obviously when Amazon went to, I don't know if Amazon bought the rights, or if, they must have, because nobody else out there is just going to be like, hey, can I adapt this and then maybe sell it to somebody? So when Amazon went to get the rights to The Boys to make a show, they obviously loved the concept, but wanted to hammer in more on the idea of this is what comic book media is. Like, this is like, you're creating these idols, but, you know, here's the cynical look at what it's like behind the scenes of that industry.
Yeah, and I think because, like, all right, in the first episode, I was just like, how could they possibly go any further? Like, how could, like, they did exactly what they needed to do. It's done. Oh wait, it's not done. And it just keeps rolling of, like, oh shit, like they finally they got this person out. There's no way they could possibly, oh shit, there's more. And like you said, that scene with Starlight, the second I saw the Deep and Starlight, I was like, yo, fuck, man, something's, you trash human being. And that's when I realized they're all just fucking people. And that's, I think, what makes it really scary, in the sense that if this came out, like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, it wouldn't be as good. But because social media and the idea of celebrityism has become so ingrained into our own minds and us as people, this concept for The Boys works super well, because you could take superhero and replace it with chefs or photographers or literally anything else in terms of, like, just any type of industry, and you'll be like, yep, that shit happens backstage, but in front of the camera, everything is all hunky-dory. But the fact that it's with superheroes makes it even fucking scarier, because, like you said, they're gods. What's stopping them from just being like, nah, fuck this, I'm gonna take over the world? But the idea of taking over the world hasn't come into play, because they're thinking still on a humanistic approach of money equals power.
Well, it's hearts and minds, really, is what they're playing with. They get this cult of personality around them. They get people who believe in them. And then, like, once everybody believes, oh, they are the hope, and that's where all the power comes from. Once you have everybody under your, like, thumb, like, willingly, that is where that comes in. And I feel that that's where this is all leading eventually. I'm sure season 3 will play into that, maybe even get hints of it in season 2. But rolling back to the Starlight Deep scene, I think it is actually much more powerful that it's just the Deep in that room, because this was going on when I'm pretty sure this was, like, the first season came out, like, when the Weinstein stuff was, like, breaking. And, you know, all of this was just in the zeitgeist at the time. Everybody was already talking about this kind of stuff. And boom, there you have it. Like an example in popular media of, yeah, no, this shit, like, yeah, this creepy shit happens.
Yeah, and that's why The Boys is such a fascinating look at the superhero genre. It isn't only trying to deconstruct superheroes in general, but its perspective, again, is a commentary on capitalism. Mm-hmm. And that's, you can see and feel the very progressive slant of this show by the way fucking Homelander talks about the world and people.
Yeah.
Yeah. He comes off very Aryan Nation.
Well, he absolutely is. He's blonde hair, blue eyes, Superman. He is literally the Ubermensch.
Yeah, he is. It is really uncomfortable when he talks about non-Americans, when he talks about the world, because in the first season, it's not as prevalent. It's still there. You can tell, like, no, it's like, I'm here to protect America, but it gets he goes full white nationalist in the second season.
Yeah,
and
it's well, if we want to talk about white nationalists, wait till we. Okay.
Oh yeah,
but
I've heard about a certain character, which I don't I don't want to say who this character is because it's actually a bit of a spoiler.
It is. It is.
But if you hear their name, you can probably actually put two and two together. But I'm still not going to say it. But
it's real hard to watch. I'll tell you that. But no,
well,
Homelander's whole thing of, man, I fucking hate that guy. Every single, you just want something to happen to him. Like, you want the worst possible thing to happen to, like, not every member of the Seven, but him especially. You're like, there literally cannot be something I'm imagining right now that can be better or worse than what you deserve as a person. And then, like, as it kind of goes on, you start to realize, okay, maybe you're like this because of this circumstance and all that, which really, when you think about it, how many serial killers have the same type of upbringing as Homelander? Like, for real, like, that's...
Like raised in a lab and...
raised without love, raised without any parental figure or understanding of, like, morals and ethics, like... And for all we know, if he did learn that stuff, maybe he still would have been this type of person. But because he never had that, and because they were all... Okay, so this is a spoiler now. Turns out, and we're cool with spoiling.
Yeah, we've called spoilers.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
especially since this is season 1.
All right. So in season 1, it turns out superheroes are not blessed by Jesus, which is also another huge thing when it comes to season 1, where like everyone's like
religious
Christ.
propagation is a big thing. Like there are whole sects of superheroes. They're just like superheroes for Christ, I think was like the deal. And
capes for Christ or something.
Yeah, that one. That's the one.
Yes, and funny enough, the main dude who's like, no, homosexuality is a sin, turns out to be gay.
Yep.
But
yeah, they're all manufactured. They're the big plot point in season 1 is all about discovering the fact that they are babies dosed up with a pharmaceutical known as Compound V, which is produced by the Vought Corporation, which is the company that's doing all the superhero stuff. Like they license all the superheroes, they produce all the media, and now they're trying to get into military contracting. So it's the big concept is between them and the boys, which are trying to take them down, a group of non-superpowered individuals led by Carl Urban, who I fucking love in this show.
Yeah, he's real good.
Billy Butcher.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Billy Butcher. And the Frenchie and
Mother's
the
Milk.
Frenchman. Yeah, Mother's Milk, which I was like, why the fuck are you called that? And I looked it up. Oh, okay, I guess. But no, yeah, Compound V, like, that fucking... Actually, you know what? We should probably say the reason, like, how this all starts with the boys, because Compound V is, like, a huge reason why it all happins.
Yeah,
so it starts off... Yeah, okay, so...
Yeah, the Flash equivalent of this world, A-Train, is trying to courier a batch of Compound B from, like, one area to the other without being spotted, and he's so fast that he'll fucking do it. When, I don't remember the main kid's name.
Huey. Or
Huey.
You can call him young Michael Shannon.
Young Michael Shannon.
He looks exactly like him.
I see it now, actually. But Huey is just, talking to his girlfriend who's just, like, standing on the street, and all of a sudden, like, in a flash cut, boom, she explodes into viscera because A-Train ran through her at, like, supersonic speeds.
Yeah, and he's like, oh shit, I can't stop, and then he just continues, and nobody believes him. and nobody believes Huey that like a superhero killed my girlfriend, and they're like, no, it didn't happen.
Yeah, she must have spontaneously exploded. And then when it's like, oh, well, you know, he did, but she shouldn't have been standing on the road. And
in the middle of the road, which she was not.
Yeah, she was one step off the curb. So they go through this big, tenuous legal battle where he's trying to, you know, just get some justice. And they offer him like a pittance of compensation. And then Billy Butcher walks into his life. And little does he know he's also being tracked by essentially like an invisible man going by the name Translucent. And with the help of Billy, like, you know, they end up kidnapping Translucent and learning a bunch of stuff from him and ultimately killing him by shoving C4 up his ass.
I feel like that had to have been in the comic. Like, that's such a mid-2000s, like, wouldn't it be fucking hilarious if, like, his ass exploded?
I'd absolutely believe it. But it's also there that you learn that literally all the people that have been dosed with Compound V, or at least all the ones that got, like, the cool superpowers, ended up with bulletproof skin. Like, they're all nearly invulnerable. Or at least that seems to be what was implied. Like, that's just a big side effect of the compound.
Yeah, it's a roulette of, like, what kind of power you're going to have. But
apparently,
but no,
Translucent was not in the comics, by the way.
So I guess the comics do change a whole hell of a lot.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, they do. But I mean, Translucent in this show kind of like works out like really well. But when they were like, how, and they can't kill him or shoot him because like his body is made out of like a special type of carbon fiber, which only Huey was able to figure out because he's also smart. And Billy Butcher's like, oi, I'm not that smart, but I'll fucking kill this man.
Yeah, Billy is resourceful. Huey is smart.
I cannot get over Billy's accent. I'm sorry.
It's the difference between wisdom and intelligence. That's what it is. Street smarts and book smarts.
Yes, exactly. And then fucking Frenchie is just like, I know exactly what I need to do. I'll find it out.
Yeah, fucking Jean Reno.
This Jean Reno motherfucker, yeah.
Yeah, by any other, if this were made in the 90s, that's exactly who would be playing him.
Oh, 1000%. But yeah, no, and it's really cool because like, and what's like, they just keep introducing more and more and more and more shit, and you're like, man, I fucking hate these heroes. Like A-Train, for example, I was like, yo, dude, you're just like, and another thing too, Compound V, when they're adults and they start using it, it's pretty much steroids, and their whole thing is like, if we prove that these superheroes are juicing up, no one's gonna fucking like them.
Pretty much. So they go through like this big smear campaign, just attempting to get evidence on anything that they can. And I mean, I don't want to spoil all of season 1, so please go watch it if you haven't. But it just keeps taking twists and turns. There's these amazing moments of tension where they're trying to like sneak in to get samples or evidence, and you know, Homelander's nearby, and if Homelander catches you, you're basically being chased by Superman and you are fucked.
Yeah.
Like you don't tug on Superman's cape, especially when Superman is a fucking MILF-loving psychopath.
Yeah, it's pretty weird, which literally a psychopath. Like born and bred and raised to be that. And in a point, you do kind of feel sad, but also at another point, you got to be like, buddy, how the fuck are you not putting 2 and 2 together? You should. But it's all an image. It's all an image that they want to try and keep. My favorite.
So I got. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say one of my favorite scenes is when okay, so when Translucent dies, A-Train goes to see this child, and who is like a Make-A-Wish kid, and he's like, I wanted Translucent, and you can see on the screen, it's like the Facebook reacts, the amount of views, like he's doing Facebook Live, and you can just see it plummeting, and everyone's like, what the fuck is going on? And that's
sad
when the
face,
boys...
sad face, angry face.
Exactly. I'll when you get better, I'll teach you how to run real fast. You're gonna teach me how to
outrun cancer.
Yeah, that's the one. I was like, Jesus Christ, dude. That's my God. And they're like, oh my God, you can't let him go on unless he has cue cards. And it's like so fucking Hollywood. It's like, it's crazy how
they play
parallels.
into that super hard. Like, you're introduced to this concept the hardest with Starlight, who was an aspiring hero from like childhood. They apparently have like superhero pageants in that world, and she grew up in that world just trying to get into the big leagues, and finally she gets inducted into the Seven, aka like the Justice League of corporate Vought, and now she's ushered into this world that she always dreamed about, but now is seeing just how fucking fake it is.
Yeah.
And due to that, she gets jaded, and eventually her and Huey, like not knowing who each other were, kind of start a relationship, and then she kind of like goes to his side and kind of becomes a mole for the team, which is really cool. Like the way you see that dynamic play out, and it plays even harder in season 2, and I can't wait to see where they keep going with it.
Yeah, Starlight's one of my favorite characters in the entire thing. I'm really glad
she's one of the most relatable.
She's the only one in there that make you go, I guess not all superheroes are bad.
I feel like it's so her and Maeve, to a lesser extent Maeve, are basically the only two with a real fucking conscience out of the entirety of them. And even then, Maeve still does things that are morally reprehensible. And you can tell that she regrets it, at least. She doesn't want to do these things, but she's... And as we find out more in Season 2, part of that is Homelander.
Yeah, because he has control over everyone. Like, he is more powerful than all of them put together. Like, they could not stop him if he went on a rampage. So they have to appease him by just doing what he says, because otherwise he'll do whatever the fuck he wants anyway.
It's amazing that they've made, like, so it's a show about heroes, and the biggest, strongest hero is the biggest villain you've ever seen ever. He is one of the most contemptible, hateable pieces of shit. And yeah, no, every time he's on screen, I'm like, God, I want something to just tear you in literal half.
But you love to hate him.
Oh yeah, no, he's fantastic. He's such a good villain. Like, my God. Like, oh my God, the scene with the Daredevil parallel.
Oh yeah, in season 2.
Holy
shit.
Oh God.
That was devastating.
That scene is not okay. I won't be able to get that out of my head for a while.
It was one, and it was like devastating on the point where like, I didn't see that fucking coming. Holy shit.
Yeah, and like his reasoning is so evil.
Yeah. Oh.
But if we're talking scenes...
But from a sociopathic logical standpoint, his reasoning also kind of makes sense, but not in the world that they're in, because... Like, I mean, yeah, you throw a flashbang, you make like any loud sonic thing, and that dude's kind of out of commission. But holy fuck, the way he goes about it is monstrous.
He wouldn't work if you weren't able to piece together the logic in his head. That is how good villains work. You need to be able to follow their flow of logic. If you can't, then they just seem evil for the sake of evil. It's when you can put it together and it's still abominable. Like, there's no way you could justify it, but once you understand how and what he's thinking, it's like, whoa, that is way scarier than just, I'm the evil villain who's evil for the sake of it.
It's also the question of like, you know, he does it because he fucking can, and nobody will stop him. Nobody can stop him, seemingly.
It's like he is a child who never grew up, who's never told no. And that is his whole thing. That's why he has that big flatuation with, I don't think that's the right word.
He's
infatuation. Thank you.
He's a petulant child that never grew up, and he has a god complex. Unfortunately, he has the powers to back it up.
And once Mommy's out of the picture, there's nothing stopping him.
Except Daddy, which is why I love that scene between him and Giancarlo.
Yeah,
Giancarlo Esposito. Yeah,
he is the fucking best, by the way.
He always is. He's so good at playing like, I am, like, no matter how strong you are, I'm which is why I would love to see him as Lex Luthor.
Oh my God, I was literally just thinking that he is basically Lex Luthor in this. And it's so good. It's so fucking good.
This is the only time we'll ever see Lex Luthor beat Superman.
Not necessarily true. Lex Luthor's gotten one up on him a number of times. I mean, the man did become president.
Fair enough.
But speaking of Lex Luthor and, aiming back into the Justice League, what are your guys' favorite dark reflections of superheroes or superhero teams? Cause one of the ones that immediately comes to my mind is from the NetherRealms game Injustice. I love just the evil Justice League in that.
Yeah. Those the NetherRealm stories, especially for Injustice, is super dope, and it though it kind of falls in that trope of all it takes is one bad day and then boom, right? Which is how Superman became Injustice Superman. But when you say dark interpretations, do you mean when a good guy becomes evil, or just they're in a new universe but they're still good?
Could be either, because there's also the Justice Lords with Ultraman, who was just a Superman that wasn't raised under the same circumstances, didn't have the same morality, and just decided, you know what, killing criminals just makes it easier. It's a much better deterrent.
Yeah, and I mean at that point they just have to. It's interesting though, that if their whole concept of if we just kill the criminals, crime will be better, without thinking maybe there's a whole systemic issue that we should be tackling.
Of course. I mean that's the bigger question. That's always the bigger question. So why solve with reason what you can with brute force is always the answer that these evil teams go for. It seems to be. But what are your some of your guys' favorites?
My favorite dark superhero interpretation is probably the Justice Lords from Justice League.
Unlimited?
Yeah. I really, really enjoyed that whole storyline in particular. Just, they may not be the darkest or the most evil, but they are the most complex and interesting to me.
Yeah, just the idea that they lost their Flash and therefore they lost their conscience.
Yeah, that's really fascinating to me, to see them spiral like that. And especially the way that it starts with Superman burning down Lex Luthor. It's really, and it's funny, in that moment, I think you're supposed to sort of feel a little bit horrified, but even a little bit satisfied. You know what? That guy deserved it. But then you see what happens. You see that once you extrajudicially start killing people,
especially the president.
Yeah. What exactly is there to keep you in line?
And in Superman's case, it's nothing, because he has enough people at his disposal that anybody that has a stockpile of kryptonite could be rounded up. That shit could be collected and disposed of into the nearest sun and shit, Yeah.
It's just I do love interpretations, evil interpretations of heroes. Although I will say, so I saw the Flashpoint paradox, and honestly, it just wasn't a compelling enough story to justify the egregious amount of violence in that one. It just kind of felt look at all we can get away with because we have an R rating, because it's Elseworlds and they're all evil, and so we can show all this blood and gore on screen. And I'm okay, I mean, I get it. I get that look what we can do, but for me, violence always needs to be sort of justified by the story, unless you're just going for a fun, violent ride. There are some stories that are nah, I'm here for the violence, Ultra and Mega. I don't really, but that's not what Justice League Paradox was trying to be. It was trying to be this dark, compelling story, and it just...
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I personally enjoy Flashpoint Paradox, but
yeah,
I'm also a huge Flash mark, so...
Yeah, and it is a good Flash story. At the very least, it's a very interesting story for the Flash.
Yeah, Flash is far and away my favorite DC hero.
I think in terms, for me, the one that kind of pops up that I think does a really good job, and I don't really know if this really counts or not, but the Daredevil Netflix series I thought was real good in terms of turning it into an almost realistic kind of way of doing things. Because Matt Murdock he's a semi-blind.
kind of doing for Daredevil what Chris Nolan did for Batman.
I would, yeah, in a sense, no, for sure. And I've always kind of liked that in terms of the putting it almost in an almost more realistic, less magic-y kind of, well, second season was kind of lame. The only thing good about that was involving the Punisher.
Yeah, the second season of the Daredevil is just one giant pilot for a Punisher TV show.
Yeah, which, I mean, hey, it worked.
Hey, that subplot was still really fucking good. It was better than anything. It was better than anything in Iron Fist.
It was better than anything with Elektra. I'm sorry, I hated Elektra in season 2. I actually actively did not like that character, and she never got better.
But yeah, no, I really liked Daredevil, and the whole thing of like, I need to keep this a secret. People can't know that this is me. And then when he gets found out by his buddy Foggy, and then he gives his like explanation as to why I need to do this, because like nothing else is stopping these people, and I'm hearing this and I can't just sit and do nothing. I need to go out and do something. And he just kind of falls in, and this is like his life now. And I thought that was really, really cool in terms of like a dark change. But you had mentioned you found the concept of villains in alternate universes turning into, or not villains, what I'm saying, superheroes in alternate universes turning into villains. I really like the opposite of that, in which the villains, we see them as superheroes. Because you always see like, in, not the Flash, what was that DC one that we were talking about? The Justice Lords, I think, where like they go with Owlman instead of Batman. Mm-hmm. Where that, and they had
That's
Two
Crisis
Earths.
Crisis on Two Earths, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That was the animated movie.
Yes, I really liked seeing those concepts of like the villains turning into like good guys, because you know so much about like how the villains like origin story sometimes, and then when you see it kind of get flipped over and like, how could it have been better? What was it that maybe caused them to be like, no, this is the righteous path, this is the good path that we need to go through, and I really like that.
In that regard, I think the villains in that situation are less, it's less that they turn into heroes, and more like Billy Butcher and the rest of the boys. They kind of become the literal anti-heroes in that world.
They really are, yeah.
Yeah, both in a thematic sense and in they're there to oppress. They're there to fight the heroes. Another dark reflection from another series that I really like, where The Boys obviously has like a dark reflection, or like a parodied, like a tilted lens on the Justice League. Umbrella Academy kind of has a similar thing going with the X-Men, where they're not necessarily evil, but they're all insanely flawed.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the reason why their flawedness is because they were children when they were put into this situation, and then they broke off, and because they never got to live.
It's what if X-Men, but if Charles Xavier had no empathy.
I mean, you ain't wrong. But no, I enjoyed Umbrella Academy. It's real confusing at points, especially with the bad guys. I'm like, wait, I thought what? Okay. But 5 is still one of the best characters in that whole show.
Yeah, the thing I love about Umbrella Academy is every single character has something going on with them that you can either relate to or appreciate.
And you can kind of understand, even if you've never been in that situation, you can kind of understand, oh, yeah, no shit you would be in this point. Like, what's his name? Klaus. His whole power is he can talk to dead people and, like, summon them to do his bidding. And if you're a kid and your entire thing is I always see dead people, yeah, you're gonna end up maybe becoming like an alcoholic and like a drug addict, like down the line, like living that rock star life.
The concept with Klaus was just like, let's take Haley Joel Osment's character from The Sixth Sense and give him like an insanely sociopathic father who would be the one to lock him in the closet full of dead people and make him talk to them.
Yeah, like that's fucked up.
So he's getting like traumatized over and over and over again, and then like he resorts to taking drugs and alcohol in order to suppress his powers so he can stop being tormented by ghosts.
Yeah, and I mean at that point you can't. you can't blame the guy. I mean, you can in a sense, but
Oh,
even
yeah.
still, you're like, that's fucked up. I mean, I get it, but now that you know, you kind of. But yeah, no.
And-
Umbrella Academy. Also, if you have Netflix, give it a watch. It's pretty much. So, did you guys know it was made by the front runner of My Chemical Romance?
I did not know that.
I did hear
Yep.
about that, which I
Yep.
find incredibly funny.
Yeah, his whole his
that
touring
explains that explains a lot of the musical moments where like everything is just kind of cut to music in almost a music video sort of way.
Oh yeah. No, he stated that like the inspiration for Umbrella Academy comes from his life on the road in a band, because when you're touring and you're in a band, you become tight, you become a family, and family can be very dysfunctional. And so he writes around that idea of like, these are all people who are not blood related, but they were forced into circumstances to be here. So like, they don't have any like connection other than they all have powers and they were all taken and put here in this place. And when they kind of break off, they're like, this is the first time we've seen each other in so many times. So like, it's interesting as they're trying to like kind of fix the relationship that they've been forced on.
And while season 1 focuses very heavily on everybody kind of coming to terms with, how they were raised and basically trying to make peace with the fact that they can't really get their childhoods back and they just kind of have to live their life all while trying to figure out how to save the world in what was it, like 7 days, like a week?
Yeah, exactly. Like, we would save the apocalypse, like, which I mean, if the idea is like, we hate everyone, well, if we don't work together, we're all dead. Okay, fine, we'll work together.
And they're literally fighting the time police or time Nazis, however you want to look at them. Hazel and Cha-Cha as the like agents that show up to like hunt them down and try to, make sure everything goes right. Awesome addition. They inject a interesting amount of levity into so many situations, despite being these murderous time assassins.
Yeah, because like it's their job. Like you clock in. It's the 9 to 5. All right, you're going to go do this. All right, cool. Pop. All right, that one's done. Time to the next thing. Oh wait, let's do lunch.
And number 5 being the old man trapped in a prepubescent body.
That's so, like, I keep forgetting, like, holy shit, that kid is like a kid. Does this kid actually act like this, like, in real life?
That kid's
he's
such a good actor.
I know!
Like, he's so good at that.
Aye.
Sorry, I've been very quiet for this one, folks. I have not seen this show.
You should, because as good as season 1 is, I think season 2 is even better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard season 2 is better. And I am going to watch it. Now that I've heard that season 2 was so good, it's actually kind of got me jazzed. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It's a show that gets better, because I heard mixed to positive things about season 1. So,
yeah, it has been universally positively received. Unlike The Boys season 2, which for whatever reason, people have just been review bombing it because Amazon decided to go on a weekly release schedule.
oh, I mean, that's not whatever reason. That's the reason.
That is the
and
reason.
It's dumb as fucking hell.
It's a stupid fucking reason, because
It is.
Amazon saw what Disney Plus did with The Mandalorian, keeping The Mandalorian in the topic of conversation for months on end, where Netflix will just drop something and you can binge it over a weekend, and then a week later you forget about it. With this model, as unfortunate as it is, because I love binging, I much prefer consuming everything all at once, but it's not good for business, and I completely understand that.
I frankly would have liked it to have been all at once, because I'm jonesing for the next episode, something fierce.
Yeah.
But I also respect that, no, this is the way that they want to go about it, and I'm not paying anything extra. Like, getting it week to week, I guess I might end up paying for an extra month of Amazon Prime Video, but I was gonna anyway.
Yeah, I already have Amazon Prime. I like getting my packages in 2 days for, free.
Like, look, and anybody who's boycotting Amazon, hey, all the power to you. Keep it up if you can, but...
Vote with your wallet.
Yeah. But hey, I anybody who gets mad that they went weekly, I just I do not understand how you could possibly even think that you have some kind of argument. It's just a weekly release schedule. TV shows do that all the time. Come on.
I think though it's because we've gone into this this idea of binging. It's the microwave effect of we want something heated up. All right, beep, all right, it's done. Whereas with binging, everything is just right there, right at the time, and people want to talk about it. But no, I completely. At first I was like, oh, the first 3. Then I'm like, at that point, I'm just going to wait until it's all there. Then I'm going to watch it all in one sitting, which that's what I'm going to do. But if people want to do the wait every week and like watch an episode so that way they can go to their buddies and be like, yo, did you see this week's episode? Did you see like what happened? Because how many times are you going to go up to somebody and be like, hey man, did you see all 13 episodes of Daredevil? Nah, I'm only 8 episodes in. Shit, then I can't talk about everything then.
Oh yeah, or what about this? Hey, so, did you see all 10 episodes of Season 2 of The Boys? No, I don't have 10 hours to waste. Well, I did, so I'm going to start talking about it on Twitter immediately.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It kind of changes the dynamic of the water cooler talk when, like, I think this kind of came around, I think it was a topic of conversation when Stranger Things launched, because everybody watched it, but not everybody saw all of it at the same time. So you have these talks with your work colleagues, and it's like, okay, at what point do you cut off the conversation before the spoilers kick in? Netflix definitely spoiled us on the idea of watching all of these things at once.
I mean,
sorry.
Keep cutting you off. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I got spoiled on one of the best lines of Agretzko Season 3 the night it released. Night.
Man.
And I was so angry about that. And it was somebody I follow on Twitter, and I just kind of wanted to grab them and be like, what are you doing? It is not 24 hours. What is wrong with you? So no, I will take weekly releases if it means that like all the good parts of the fucking season aren't going to be immediately spoiled all over the place. And yes, spoiler culture is a little fucking much. Like we give a lot of shit about spoilers to the point where it might be unhealthy for us.
It's a pet peeve for me as somebody, like, especially for things that I'm looking forward to. You can't blame somebody for not wanting something spoiled like the week it comes out, you know?
Yeah, it's like, give me a chance.
Give me a second. And so like I love being able to just kind of like binge through things, because I do have that kind of time on the weekend. I take it to myself and I'll just sit back and I'll watch something. And when The Mandalorian started coming out and it was coming out weekly, I'm like, what the hell is this? Why is this happening? But I understood, and I started looking forward to it every week. It would be part of my like weekend thing. I'd sit down, okay, new episode of The Mandalorian, let's fucking go. I don't mind that, especially in this, in these trying times where every fucking day is the same and there is nothing to look forward to.
We do live in a perpetual present, and it is both slow and incredibly fast.
So you have something like, if The Boys is going to release every week, it's like, cool. Now I have something that I can, set my clock to a little bit more. And like, I have this. I have Lovecraft Country, which is also really good.
See, that is also another thing. I'm going to wait until that's all done, then I'm going to binge it.
I will say, I'm not sure that show lends itself very well to binging, but it might. The first 3 episodes have been very, like, self-contained in a lot of ways. So I haven't actually minded waiting a week to watch the next one.
Yeah. Episodic content is much harder to binge because you're always getting basically a full story. And it's like, all right, I'm going to let that one ruminate before I move on to the next one.
Not that there isn't an ongoing plot, but it does have a very like self-contained, like open and shut. Like this is an arc that we're going through here. In fact, it wasn't until this latest episode that I felt like, okay, this is something that is definitely leading more to something greater. So we'll see how it plays out. But I've been really enjoying that show. Count that as a vote from me to check that out. And I can't wait for more of The Boys. Again, I just love Carl Urban in this. He's been in a lot of great things. Dread is probably my favorite thing he's been in.
So I feel like there's a billion other superhero things that we could talk about, like Kick-Ass and Deadpool and someone mentioned Doom Patrol.
Doom Patrol, once again,
yeah.
watch Doom Patrol. It's awesome.
I would
it's-
wait, it's on HBO Max, right?
It is.
I might have to then.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about
it's on
getting
HBO Max. Yeah, it's honestly, you could also watch Lovecraft Country then too. Like they've got a bunch of stuff on there. But there's also the Watchmen series that recently came out, which is also really fucking good, and on HBO Max. Again, this is not sponsored. This is not sponsored by HBO Max unless they want to. Waiting? No? Okay. But yeah, Watchmen was also really good. Kick-Ass is something that, like, I saw the first movie, never saw the second one. I really liked the first movie, but I felt it was flawed. I just really liked Nicolas Cage in that one.
Oh, yeah. I forgot he was in that. He was like the stereotypical Batman.
Yeah, he was literally Batman. Like, that's what he was going for. He wore a Batman costume, and he just had a shotgun.
Yeah.
and Batman and Hit Girl. Like, Hit Girl was obviously the star of that movie.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was Bat Dad. Thank you, Quinn, for the correction. But
I will say, in terms of like other shows, another superhero show that I finished watching, even like a couple days ago, was the Tick Amazon show that they did.
Oh yeah, you're talking about that.
also
Yeah.
a very strong show. I loved the Tick cartoon when I was little, and
too.
Oh, yeah.
watching through like season 1, this is more of like a goofy deconstruction of the superhero narrative rather than the more cynical deconstruction that The Boys is.
Which, after watching the latest episode of season 2, I was like, okay, I need something to cleanse my palate with some goodness. Okay, the Tick, why not?
It's a strong palate cleanser. It really is. It's
Yeah.
funny. It's good. It's charming. It has a lot going for it, but it is very bizarre at times. Like it's the rules that its world follows are so alien and strange, and I love it.
Ant, you actually inspired me. I actually do want to sit down and take some of the quotes from the original Tick cartoon and match them up to All Might from My Hero Academia.
Oh my god. See, I just finished the evil Midnight Bomber What Bombs at Midnight episode today. That is probably my favorite episode, because that character was, I was like, man, I like crazy characters, this is fun. And just the idea of, I love the Tick universe when it comes to that superheroes, because they're just like, we're superheroes and we're assigned to go into these jobs and this is what we're doing. Hey, I just stopped some bank robbers. You want to go get a coffee? Yeah, sure, why not? And they're still in their like, it's so goofy and so funny, and no one's like, oh my god, we love you. They're just like, hey, you're a superhero, right? Yeah. Oh, that's cool. It's like the equivalent of like doing like a communal job. It's so, I love, that's what I love about like in a superhero universe where like everyone's just in like a mundane world, but it's still like the real world. And yes, they're superheroes, but they're just regular people who aren't fucking nuts and have god complexes. And you see so much of that in The Boys that it's so hard to remind yourself that not all superheroes are bad, and some of them are just like big lovable goofs who talk about destiny and doing what's right for justice. Like, it's just so
It's a
I
bit
love
like
the fucking Tick.
It's a bit like My Hero Academia's world, except like
Yeah.
if you like some heroes are like, they do have celebrity status, but for a lot of the heroes it's more mundane. It's like, yeah, no, this is my area and I take care of these people, and hi, and yeah, I'll be over here if you need me. I'm the moth.
Yeah, exactly. Or like the floating gravity girl. Her whole thing is like, why do you want to be a superhero? I just want to make money so I just want to make money. I'm like, that's
My parents
literally
are
why
poor.
that's why anyone goes to a job, to make money. Like, it's so good. I really like that when I guess at the end of the day it's more so telling of a person what it is they like to see in other people, or like, because if you were a superhero, what would you do? Would you want to be the guy, the person who's like, I'm the superhero, I'm going to go and do this? Or if you have superpowers, be the person who's like, yeah, sure, I can do shit, but I'm not gonna tell people I do shit. I just want to live my regular ass normal life, because I see what happens. I see what these people are doing and what goes on in the background. Like, nah, that's too much for me, man.
Hell yeah. But what are some of your favorite deconstructions of superheroes? What are some of your favorite superheroes? Do you like the boys? Let us know in the comments for those watching on YouTube, for those listening on wherever you're grabbing your podcast from. We're very happy to have you. And for those that are joining us live, we'll be talking to you in the post show very shortly. But thank you for joining us for the Talkcast Podshow, everybody. Thank you for joining us, Ant.
Yeah, no problem. I love superheroes.
Hell yeah. And we'll see you guys next time on the Talkcast Podshow.
Bye.